My story happened in my sophomore year of high school. I was a theater fag, and I did a lot of shows. And this one year, it was a stupid ripoff of Godspell called "Oh Happy Day" that I was in, and I met this guy, this kid named Billy, and like a fellow theater fag, we started fucking. But it was real on the down low. We would just buy comic books and then go back to one of our houses and fool around. And it was great. It was a really great setup. I recommend it to anyone who likes fucking and comic books. We weren't like girly about it. We were just like fucking and like, all right, let's go read. It wasn't like, let's hold hands or let's talk about how we feel. It was just perfect. And so like part of the reason we kept it on the down low is because, well, we were kids in high school. But like Billy came from a very large, very religious family. And he was the seventh of eight, and they had this huge house. It was like a hoarder house that I realized in retrospect, and like everyone in his family did a lot of community theater, so they would like steal costumes. So it was just like piles of costumes everywhere, and just crazy. And his family was also like very religious, so that year around Thanksgiving, he invited me to what they call their second Thanksgiving, because on Thanksgiving they all volunteer at like their church and local charities, so they actually have their Thanksgiving the day after, and it's like a thing that they do. And so he invited me to that, and he said he really wanted me to come because he wanted to come out to his family this Thanksgiving. And I was not a fan of that plan. I was like, why ruin this? What we have right here is great. No one's bothering us. And like your family's very religious. I don't think this is a good idea. But he was like, no. I need to do this. This is something I really want to do, and I want you there to support me. And I was like, oh, man. I was like, all right, I'll go. Like, what else? I can't. I'm busy the day after Thanksgiving. I can't go to your thing. So anyway, I'm there, and I'm very nervous, and the whole time I'm like, are you sure you want to do this? Because I was also like, you're going to ruin Thanksgiving for your family. Like, it's always going to be like, oh, remember when Billy came out of the closet on Thanksgiving, and now that's all we can think about whenever we have cranberry sauce? But he was like, no, I want to do this, I want to do this. Like, all right. So we're there, and like people, I got there pretty early, and people are starting to show up, and family members. And one of his older sister, Lily, shows up with a priest. And I was like, are you sure you want to do this with a priest here? Because this could get weird. And then at one point, like Lily gathers everyone into the living room, and there's probably like 20 of us at this time. And she has an announcement, and she's there with the priest, and she's obviously like very upset and very emotional. And so she tells the story of they have an Uncle Kevin who was apparently on his way with his wife and two kids. And their Uncle Kevin was like 10 years older than them. So he wasn't like really an uncle. He was sort of like this, like apparently this like very charming older family member who like, I think like the girls sort of had like a very innocent crush on their uncle kind of thing. And so she gathered everyone together, and she said when she was 12 years old, Uncle Kevin took advantage of her and took something very precious from her, is how she put it. I don't think he stole a Beanie Baby. I think he, that joke killed. So she wanted to gather everyone together and confront him this year at Thanksgiving. And I'm like, turn to Billy, I'm like, we're aborting your plan. This is not, and also like, why does your family hate Thanksgiving? All of you just want to ruin it. But anyway, so she announces this, and then like immediately their father just stands up and goes, he's not actually your uncle, he was adopted. So it's like, oh, okay, so it's not incest. That's always a good thing to be able to say. It wasn't incest. But this was, but like everyone is just like, what the fuck are we gonna do? Like, this is insane. And this was like before cell phones and before any of that. So like this guy is literally driving to this second Thanksgiving Day celebration with his wife and his two daughters, not knowing that he's about to be ambushed in this way. So anyway, his car pulls up, and then the father just like gets up, walks out to the car, talks. We all just see that we're all like watching from different windows all over the house, like what's happening. Apparently he just told Kevin, he said, we need to go for a drive. So he sends the wife and the two kids inside to the party. And they don't know what's happening. They don't know what's going on. They're just like, what's happening there? Why do they have to go drive? And the mother's like, oh, men. Let's go to the kitchen because we're women and we're very religious. So the dad and Uncle Kevin go off for a drive. No one knows where they're going. No one knows if they're coming back, when they're coming back. Again, there's no way to get in contact with them at all. So for the next 2 hours, we just have the weirdest Thanksgiving Day dinner ever. And it's just it's like this thing hanging in the air. No one knows if it's going to pay off. And I sort of wanted to, but sort of am like, I mean, this was like a real life August Osage County before we knew what an August Osage County could be. They never came back. I don't know what happened. I don't know where they went. I eventually had to leave. And then when I went to get my coat, which was like in a bedroom somewhere, Lily and that priest were making out. And in fact, her like tit was out. And I had to go and be like, I'm sorry, you're on my jacket right now. I need to go get that. And so I don't know what happened after that. I stopped asking. I do know that like Lily has gone on to have affairs with several different priests and is in fact like banned from their parish because she's a priest slut, which is I guess a thing. But I will say I can't think of Thanksgiving ever without thinking of that lovely Thanksgiving and how it could have maybe almost been the best Thanksgiving ever or the worst. I wish it had happened, really, is what it comes down to. That's my story. You're welcome.
John Flynn, ladies and gentlemen.